I wouldn't worry. I think people will be looking for other things on the internet tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So after the presidential result, you'll probably be the next that they look for.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome, one and all. Danny Banks, who's assisting me this year as head of training, the training chair in District 71. And one of his ideas was to create this Trainers Bureau, which is a high quality training resource available for the district. And as part of that Trainers Bureau, we also develop trainers by offering them places on the Speaker to Trainer course. Isn't that right, Danny? And the Trainers Bureau is offering the district training once a week. And I think I'll let Danny introduce Liz at this point. Welcome, Danny.
Okay, thanks for that, Daniel. Yes, this training on a Tuesday night is something that we're experimenting with to see if it's something that people want. And it's been chosen on a Tuesday night, just purely at random for an hour. And we will see how it goes in October and November. But that's enough of that. I would like to welcome Liz. Most of you will know Liz because, first of all, she's Division Director for Division N at the north of England. And also she's very, very heavily involved in the Zoom training. She manages and organizes the Zoom training that I'm sure most of you will have heard of if you've not actually been on. She started her Toastmaster journey in 2008, I believe, in a sunnier country than England, Australia, in Brisbane, at the Sandgate Toastmasters. And one of the highlights for her when she was there was that she was president when the club celebrated its 40th anniversary. So that's quite an amazing feat. I'm not sure how many clubs in District 71 are yet at 40. On her return to the United Kingdom, Liz carried on her Toastmaster journey, and so far she's been responsible for chartering Liverpool Toastmasters and helping to charter Bradford speakers in her division. She's served at all levels in Toastmasters. She's been an area director. As I said, she's been at the moment a division director, and also she has served every officer role in the club, and she has volunteered tonight to share her knowledge of this very important part of the VPE role, the Basecamp Manager. And it's something that, you know, a lot of us find difficult to get to grips with. And Liz is going to open our eyes and explain all. So if everybody could please help me welcome Liz, and I will hand over the meeting to her. Liz.
Thank you so much, Danny. It's just so wonderful to be here this evening to share knowledge with you from the sunny Tuesday night District 71 training. And what I would like to do this evening is to show you some of the roles within Basecamp Manager. I think hopefully with the screen that's better. Right. So the Basecamp Manager. Tonight what we're going to cover is what is Basecamp Manager? What does it mean? We're going to look at how you respond and confirm a level completion. We'll also look at how you respond and confirm a path completion. Now, the majority of us are online, but we do have some who are actually want the printed version. So we'll touch upon how you deal with those members who wish to have a printed version of the pathway. We'll also look at how you respond to external training requests, you initiate and confirm those. And the main thing with regards to the BCM, the Basecamp Managers, is that they are able to track progress. They can track progress of individuals, they can look at the different paths that are open, the path type that people are doing. You can look at recently selected ones, which is really good for new members, which we'll go through in a bit. And of course, the external training part of that. So the first thing then, what is Basecamp and what is a Basecamp manager? So Basecamp is basically Toastmasters International Training Program. And Basecamp is where every single member goes to look at their own traveling experience, where they are within their own sphere. Basecamp manager is like the toolbox. It's the administration side of the pathways. Okay, so within the Basecamp manager role, they are able to view every single member of their club and understand where they're at and how they may need assistance or guidance to get through to the next step. So before I go any further, can I just ask anybody who, well, first of all, who do you think is a Basecamp manager? If you can shove that in the chat, I shouldn't say shove, should I? If you could kindly put that into the chat and just say who you think Basecamp managers are, and that would give me a good start. Anyone? Yay, well done. All right, well, 3 people is the president, the vice president education, and the secretary. Those 3 are Basecamp managers, and those roles are assigned automatically when each club enters their new committee for the following year, or when one of those roles changes. It's an automatic transition. They get the job regardless. So we'll go more into that later on in the discussion. So now if we have a look at how we get into Basecamp and what it is that you as a Basecamp manager will be looking for. Basecamp manager. I just need to check just something here for a moment. I think it's looking good. Okay, so first of all, like anything else, we have to go into toastmasters.org, and you are basically on your main page, and there are 2 ways that you can get into the Basecamp manager. The first, you click on pathways, you go to Basecamp, and when it whirls around, you come up with 3 blue boxes. The one on the right, the navigator, is for you to read at your leisure, and the one on the left, if you've not already done so, please go in and choose your second free path we've just got from Toastmasters International. Don't worry about the 20 bucks, just continue to path selection, you'll be fine. I digress. Basecamp manager, you can see here that I have 2 choices. I can go to Basecamp, which would be my own individual path, or I can log in as Basecamp manager. Alternatively, you can just click on your profile name. And when you click on your profile name, you get exactly the same. It's a little bit quicker, and you can see where you're at with everything as well while you're there. And you can see that I can do the same. Now, just as an aside, if I go to one of my other clubs and I default to this Elvic, for example, you will see I have no access to the Basecamp manager system because I'm not the president, secretary, nor the VPE of that club. So make sure if it's Basecamp manager, you choose the club that you want to look at in that role. Check that you want to log in and go. So what we'll do as we're working through it, if you have any questions, just jot them down, and then at the end, I'll be happy to answer for you. So you see another 3 boxes, and what we have is the tutorial. You can read at your leisure. It gives a lot of information about Basecamp manager, and the 2 things that we would look at as a Basecamp manager are member progress and pending requests. So what we'll look at first is member progress, and this is where you're going to be reviewing what they are up to. In member progress, you've got 6 things down on your left-hand side, and each of them give you different information about the progress of your individual members. And if we look first of all at this section, individual progress, you'll see that each of the level projects are in its own box. So there's level 1, then we've got level 2, level 3, and so forth. And we can see clearly that in this particular club, people have actually opened projects all the way through to level 5, but it doesn't tell us really what they've done. It just says, for example, we've got 5 people looking at evaluation and feedback. We've got 12 people who've looked at their icebreaker, and we've got 6 who are research and presenting. So in order to find that detail, the first thing we need to do is to refresh the page. If you don't go in very often, you might find that this is completely blank. And what you need to do is refresh. And there's 2 ways of doing that. One is to come to the drop-down arrow here and refresh. Now, if I hit that now, it will just literally refresh my level 1 projects. If you go to options and hit refresh, you will see in the bottom left-hand corner of each of the level projects, the pages are refreshing for me. Now, depending on how often you go in and how often you refresh, will depend on how long this takes. So let's hope it just takes a few minutes, seconds even. So we know that we can see how many people have looked at each of these levels of each of these projects within level 1. So what we want to know is the detail. Who has done what? So again, we come to the little drop-down box, and you can see we can view or we can export. So if we hit view details, it pops up with another window, and you are able now to see what members have actually done. So you're scrolling down, and you can see here in this particular level that we have had 4 people complete their evaluation and feedback, with 1 in progress. We've got the icebreakers have been done by 12 people, completed by, is that 6, and in progress by the others. And then the research has in progress by 3 and completed by a further 3. And it gives you the name of the path they're on and whether it's a required project or whether it is a one that you can elect. So these in level 1 are all required. So if we just jump back to the actual dashboard and have a quick look at each of the levels, you do that in every one. So if we just wanted to see what was happening in level 3, we can view the detail. We can go back to have a look at that window. And here we have the level 3s, and we can see what's happened here is that, oh yeah, that Elizabeth Welch has just done so much, look. Oh, there's asthma. I knew somebody else had done something there. So you can see that these have all been completed and a couple in progress, but nobody else in the club, apart from Asima, has looked at a level 3 project, which means we'll have to work on them, other people. Going back to the dashboard again, and let's see. So you do that in every single level. Basically, click the little dot, down arrow, and view the detail, and it'll show you each individual's progression on that. Your second one, and again, it's just doing its own little refresh there. It hasn't refreshed the page. You can see that the last time this was refreshed was on the 31st of October. And therefore, to refresh every single box, I would hit the refresh button in the top right-hand corner of options there. So coming down to level completions, again, it tells you at the top here, these are recently completed on Basecamp within the last 90 days. So if it's beyond a 90-day period, you won't see it because that's already gone to a different file. but anything within the last 90 days will be sitting here. Also, that you must submit any completions in Club Central. So we'll bear that in mind. Again, if you want to see who has done what, you can come to the next window here, I hope, and we can see that the completion of motivational strategies level 3 was done on the 20th of September and submitted just after 12 o'clock. So you can get lots of data from these. Obviously, if you're a busy club with lots of members, there'll be lots of data there. Bradford, as many know, is a new club, and we're just starting off on the pathway progress with them. Back to our main board. Now this one I like, Path Progress, because this one you can get an awful lot of information. The page just needs to come up for me. You can do lots while it whirls around, can't you? You can, you know, stretch or... So with Path Progress one, there are a number of things you see. Again, you can refresh and bring it up to date, but I won't do that now because I think you've got the hang of that. You can see from the table on the left here, on the right, sorry, the different colours which these bars pertain to. So it's telling us, for example, we have got one person who is looking at engaging humour and another person who has registered these for presentation mastery. All they've done is they've gone into Basecamp and they've chose that path and haven't gone any further. They've registered it, they've chose it, but they have not started. The mauve is in progress, so we can see we've got 2 people on effective coaching, we've got 1 on innovative planning, and so forth and so forth. And in this particular club, at the moment, presentation mastery is the one that most people favour. And of course, the blue is completed. So we've got 1 dynamic leadership and 1, and that's the extra mentoring program that you do when you complete level 2. You can go on to do that as a separate subject. The ones following it are basically mirroring this top one. So this basically gives you, if you just want to see how many have not registered, registered, not started, it's there. How many are in progress? How many are completed? It's just a breakdown of that graph. But this time, when you go to view details, what you will find in this section is an overview, a summary of all of your members. And I think that this is really important when we're looking at where we are at with our membership. Firstly, it's got the list of everybody's pathway quite clearly here. And it's good as a Basecamp manager just to check that what is on here is what the person is actually doing. Because for those of us who use EasySpeak, it's very easy for a member initially to just choose a path within EasySpeak to get going with their icebreaker and maybe even complete a whole level 1. But then we realize they've gone in at some point, they may have chosen, for example, leadership development within EasySpeak, but then a few weeks later, they've gone in to have a look and they've decided they want to do innovative planning, but we haven't changed it on EasySpeak. And they're quite happily going along on the wrong path. But obviously, they'll not get any credit for anything because they actually haven't gone back into Pathways, Basecamp, and done the project, like, you know, how you have to do your before and after. But this is a really good summary of everybody in your club who has registered on a pathway. And again, you can see that the completion of just the 2 pathways here, the dynamic leadership and the mentorship, everyone else is in progress except the registration of 1 there for myself and 1 there for Janice. Now, looking at this, I know that a number of members are missing, and there's a few reasons for that. One is because at least 4 members of this club have not yet registered in Basecamp. So I know that they are not going to appear. And the other reason is if they are a dual member of another club. So for example, as you saw earlier, I'm in a few clubs. So if the president or a Basecamp manager, the VPE, decides, for example, to pop into Elvit now to have a look at where everybody is, he won't see me on the dashboard because I'm here in Bradford. Okay, so people who are in other clubs will only be seen by the Basecamp manager of the club that they are defaulted to at the time. All right, so if you know that in another club, the chances are that's where their file is. You can imagine you've got this file, it's in a filing cabinet in Bradford, and the only way it'll get back to Elvit is by me taking it, going and putting myself back into Elvit. All right, because a few people get a bit muddled with why nobody's on there. So although everybody can see it, they can only see it one at a time. So let's go back. Path type. What this one shows is how many people are actually doing it online, or whether or not we have people who are actually doing it with hard copy. So we can see that 13 people are having their paths delivered online, and we don't have anybody in this club who are doing it from the hard copy. And again, you can have a look at view detail. The other one, which is quite interesting, is paths that have just recently been selected. And what you see here is members in the past month who have actually requested a pathway in Basecamp or chose one. And this is good, when I said before, for your new members, because it means that you can pop in as Basecamp manager and perhaps see whether or not those new members have actually chose a path. Again, just by viewing the details, we can go into that screen share and we will see the members who have literally just picked up their paths. So we can see here on the 8th of October that this lady and gentleman chose their pathways. And on the 23rd of October, myself and Janice, we were quick off the mark getting a freebie from TMI. Okay, so if you've not done it yet, please do. So that's how you can sort of see whether or not your new members have done it. And if they haven't, you can touch base with them and find out if they need help. So that's a useful one. Back to the dashboard. What we now see at the bottom is the external training. And what you would see in here, we don't have any requests, or we've not approved any in this club for external training. So what you would see is just the bar graph. And again, you would be able to view any details. Of course, there isn't any there because we haven't any. But I think basically that is how you can go into Basecamp and how you can look at your individual progress of your membership, and you have an overall picture of what your club is doing. And then you can marry that up to what your club management tool has, and making sure that if you are using, for example, EasySpeak, it all marries up. And also if you've got a spreadsheet or whatever, it's just a way of checking. And that's about it. And to be honest, if you, it takes a bit of time initially, but once you've got the hang of it, you probably spend maybe 5 minutes a week, if that. You go in when you need to. If you think a member's done a progress in a, sorry, if you think a member has completed a level, you can pop in and see whether or not they've actually gone through the process of checking off on their screen. So that's that bit. So now what we'll do is we'll zoom back to that other page when it will do it. Is it moving? Let me just double check. Yeah, so we'll go back now into pending requests. So this next section, we're going to look at how you approve a request. And I'm pleased to say we have one to do. So I thank Mo for delaying me completing his request so that I can show you how it happens. So what would happen is when a member completes a level and they tick off all the boxes, and that very last box, they click a few times and eventually it says, thank you, pending confirmation from the Vice President of Education. And it is generally, though we have 3 Basecamp managers, the VPE is probably the best one placed to do it because they have an understanding of what the member has actually done. Going very briefly, also in this line, you would see anybody who has requested an external speech. So they would request it in their Basecamp, and it would show along here that they have requested to do an external training. And in this line will be a folder that you open, and you can view the transcript of what it is they wish to do. And you will see the project that they are wanting to complete. And if you're happy that what they're saying they're going to do matches the objectives of the project, you simply tick a green tick to say, yes, I agree, you can do it. So you're giving them the approval to go and do it. Once it's done, it comes back in and you have to confirm. And it's a similar process to this. It's no different really. So what you'll see here is a red cross. If you've got your pictures in the way, I don't know, my other pictures are in the way. You can move your thumbnails out of the way if you want, and you should see the red and green at the side here. So basically, you've got a red cross which will deny, and you have a green tick which will approve. Now you may deny for many reasons, because in Basecamp, it's quite easy for somebody to complete a whole level without actually doing anything. Because if people just click through, and I've seen people come to me and they'll go, I've just completed it and I didn't mean to, because they've done that last bit where it says, reevaluate how you feel after. And they go, well, I've read everything, so I've done that. And you go, well, actually, you've only been in the club 3 weeks and you've not done an icebreaker, so it's a mistake, you would deny it. And also when you get up to level 3, 4s and 5s, certain projects or certain roles. So it may be that they haven't done the Toastmaster role or they've not done the table topics role. And as the Vice President Education, you would know really, or perhaps they've done an external speech but haven't actually taught it. So all of that, you can deny it. But I know Mo has done his level 1. 5 elements. He's done his icebreaker, he's done his 2 evaluation and feedbacks, he's done his research 1, and he has completed a speech evaluation. So he's done the 5. So let's tick the box and see what we get. So what happens is we get this, and this is what you would get if you denied it. You can put comments in. So I'll just go, well done. Oh. Okay, and then I'm going to submit. And off it goes. And that's it. Easy. And what happens is now a lot of things will be happening in the background. Mo will now be receiving a message from Toastmasters to say, well done, you have completed level 1. The VPE or the Basecamp managers will also be receiving that. And in his own pathway, when he goes into the transcript, all the green boxes will be ticked and the little pie chart at the top will be shown 100%. And then at the bottom of his level 1, there'll be another button to press, and he will then be able to print off his certificate. There is, I'm not sure if I can do it. Let's see what happens if I put more in here. He's a member. Let's see if it shows you this, because you can actually go in and print a certificate off for him. It's not coming up. You normally go into transcripts and you can print the certificate, and you can do that and then present that at the club. But as we're all virtual at the moment, that's not something we can do. So if we go back now to Basecamp, we'll quickly go back. It may have updated our system to show us It wants more time. Oh, I'm not currently a approver. All right, then I'll stop sharing for a minute and then I'll go back in a sec. So in essence, the Basecamp Manager just needs to spend a few minutes. Once you get the hang of how that all works, and you need just a few minutes to go in and check whether you do that weekly or fortnightly or monthly. But if you get into the habit of doing it, it'll take you just a few minutes. I'm just going to see now if it'll let me screen share back to our dashboard. You go up. I need it to come up. Yeah, it's lost the dashboard. I think if I get rid of that, I'm going to lose it again. Okay, so very often it just takes it might take a few minutes or it could take a few hours, but when you go back in and you refresh, you should be able to see that more, for example, has now completed level 1. The thing with the Basecamp is all you've done is confirmed that that individual person has completed the level. What it hasn't done is registered it in the Leadership Central part. It hasn't registered it for your DCP. And the reason it hasn't is because Basecamp isn't fully connected to the Toastmasters International website. And also for those who are dual members, they can have the option of where they would like their completion to be credited to. So I may ask a VPE to approve my level, which means I can then continue on to my other levels, but I might not want them to submit for that club. I might get another club to have the point. So would you like me to show you in Club Central how you do that? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay. So just bear with me a moment because I just need to go back into my pathways here and come out. Oh, it might see if it shows you this. Screen share. All right. So when you've approved a level, you can see if you come up to this wheel, can you see the wheel hopefully in the right-hand corner? And you log out, you literally log out of Pathways. And what it does, it takes you back to the home page for Toastmasters International. You then click on Leadership Central and you come to Club Central. And then you've got whichever clubs that you're able to be administration for. So this just means I'm on the committee of both of these clubs. Now, any committee member can submit an education award, but only the Basecamp managers can approve them. Okay, so once the Basecamp managers approved it, it would make sense for them to continue and then submit it if the person wants it submitted for that club. However, later down the line, I could say to the treasurer, oh, can you go and submit my education award in Basecamp, in Leadership Club Central. So you can see all the administration here for club membership awards and things. So we're going to look at now submitting an education award. And basically, we will submit the member that you want the award given to. And you will see if we choose more, he has absolutely nothing beside his name because he's not completed anything. And if we click the next section, it will show that the only thing I can approve for him is the Presentation Mastery Level 1. And although we can complete each of our pathways, we can do level 3 before we do level 2, we can do level 4 before we do level 3. You cannot submit a level 4 unless you've submitted 1, 2, and 3, okay? Because it won't let you. If I just pop on to another one of our members here, you'll see that Sarah is already a level 2. And when I go in, if I was to, I could then complete, it would be only a level 3 for her. So you kind of go backwards or forwards. And the other thing is, if you look at here, you'll see all the membership except me. And that is because, just as a little bit of a safeguard, Toastmasters have said you can't submit your own award. Makes sense. Where's he gone? So here's more. We then select the program, and then it will ask whether or not I will review the award submission. Am I correct? It's more is presentation mastery. I'm perfectly happy with that. Submit. Do I want to do this? I don't want to submit another award. I'll just go back to Club Central. And that's it. And that process, in essence, if you want to just submit somebody's award, probably takes all up. You go in, you approve them, you come out, you come straight into the TMI site, you go to Club Central, approve it, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, once you've got the hang of it. Stop share. Now, come along. So basically, what we've now covered is in Basecamp Manager. I just need to come down to that one. As an overview, we have looked at what BCM is. What is the Basecamp Manager? So the Basecamp Manager is a system, it's an administration, like a toolbox, which allows the Vice President Education, President, and the Secretary to enable them to confirm the completion of a path level or a whole path completion. It also allows them to track the individual's progress and provides an overview of all member path progress. And that's it. Stop share. Thank you. I'm happy to take some questions if people would. Well, actually, I have some. Is there some in the chat already? Oh, it'll be recorded. I've just read that one. I actually did have some questions here, which I'm happy to answer first. And then if there's any further questions, I'm happy to answer. I think one of the things I may have not said was, obviously, when you do a level completion, the level completion and the completion of the whole pathway is exactly the same process, because once you've completed 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then somebody does level 5. One of the things I didn't mention, however, was those people who have paper, who are wanting the hard copy. As the Basecamp Manager, you actually have to go in on their behalf and actually go into their Basecamp and tick off, they've done the icebreaker, they've done the evaluation and feedback, they've done the research. And once you're happy they've done it, you then click on their behalf to submit it, and then you go in as Basecamp Manager to confirm. All right, so people with the hard copies, the paper copies, just need you or somebody, one of the Basecamp Managers, to act on their behalf in order to submit that for them. And the reason the VPE is the Basecamp, they're all Basecamp Managers, but the VPE generally has that overview. And as a Vice President Education, you can very quickly know where people are, and you'll know instinctively after a few months in the job whether somebody's on the right track or not. But however, if for any reason you're not available, the President or the Secretary can then approve. And as I say, anybody on the committee can actually confirm it in Club Central. So a couple of the questions I got was, how can I track members' progress? So hopefully whoever asked that question, was that Snowy? I have answered that throughout the progress of the webinar. And then how do I verify a level? So again, I believe that's been covered. Are you all okay with them 2 elements? Yay. Dual members, how can I approve speeches outside of the club? So again, if you're a dual member of a club which has Easy Speak, it's easy. Because if you do a speech in one of your other clubs, it automatically registers on the system. So any VPE or any club member will be able to see on that pathway graph, the pathway spreadsheet within Easy Speak, that you've done it. And you might think, well, that's an odd day because I'm sure that was a Wednesday and our club meets on a Thursday. And when you click on it, it will just tell you it was done at a different club. The difficulty for that, logging it in Easy Speak, is if you're in a club that hasn't got that system married to yours. For example, my Brisbane club doesn't. So when I do a speech at Brisbane, I need to tell my VPA I'm doing it. I either tell him I'm doing it and he goes, yeah, okay, Liz. And I send him a picture of me at Sandgate and he knows I've been there because I've got it behind me. And the VPE of Sandgate or a president might just send a little email through to Tony and go, yeah, Liz was here and delivered the speech. Just something to prove you were there. And that's fine as well. Or you can request formally in the system, in Pathways, in your Basecamp, and then it can all be approved through that way. The other one was, why do I need to disable my pop-up blockers? So you will see that does come up. And the reason for that is because of the functionality of Basecamp. Because when you attempt to log in, when you go through, each section opens up in different windows. And in order to keep the original project in view, you need to disable the blockers to give that flow in the Basecamp. So the original new pop-up window is there for you to complete the task, but the background needs to be the original Basecamp window in the background. So if you disable your pop-up on your phone, laptops, whatever, then you'll keep that original window open. And the other question was, how do I do so on my iPad? So after seeking advice on this, because I don't have an iPad and I didn't know, apparently what you need to do is quite simply, like you would do on any device, is go into your settings and find the pop-up blocker and disable it. Cool. Anybody? I'm happy if you want to unmute and ask questions and go from there, really. Anybody? You're all okay? How many have actually been in Basecamp and looked? Thumbs up. You've all been in Basecamp. Oh, that's cool, quite a few. And how many are actually Vice President Educations? 1, 2, 3, 4, so quite a few. So hopefully you found it useful and you've picked up at least 1 or 2 little pointers on the way. Sometimes you can go in and muddle through, but you pick it up. There is lots of information there in the background. So how many are presidents? Do I have any presidents here? Yeah, 1 or 2. And secretaries. Oh, dual role, Gerard, dual role. But you know, it's all around. If you don't understand it or you're stuck, please don't hesitate to, you can email education@TMI. They're more than happy to give you information, or ask somebody else in the club or outside. You've got your area directors, your division directors, your district leadership team. We're all here to help each of you to move forward and progress and enjoy your journey. So,
Liz, can I ask a quick question, please?
You can, Joseph, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was really useful. So I'm a brand new VP, so I'm just trying to get my head around everything. And I know at our club, we've had most people on Pathways, but not absolutely everybody for whatever reason. What's your advice about updating Pathways so it's accurate with speeches that have been done in the past? So maybe they might be on Easy Speak or whatever, but for whatever reason, they've not recorded them at the time, and now I'm having to update it retrospectively.
Well, you can't update an individual's path in the pathway in Basecamp. They have to do it. And the only thing I would suggest there is that some degree of training is done to enable them, to show them how. And once they get it to do one, it's the same process for every single project you complete. So again, there is it people though that they're obviously coming to your club and they're doing speeches and they're doing it, they're just clicking in easy speak and going, oh, well, that's my next one. I've done the icebreaker, blah, blah, blah. And they can get the information. But what they're not doing, perhaps, is actually going into the Basecamp and having a look at the project and what they should be doing.
Yeah,
So
and I think most people are, but there's some that haven't. And
yeah.
like I say, I'm brand new to the role, but I was advised that one of the things I needed to do was update the few speeches that haven't been recorded properly.
You can't. It's up to each individual to do that. You can only do it for people who are on the paper ones because they haven't got the access. So you can go in and do that. As far as I'm aware, you can't. I've not looked at it that deeply, but I know you can do it for people who have got non-online ones, and maybe there is a way that you can get through. I'll have a look. And which club are you in, Joseph?
Haymarket in Edinburgh. But can I not just tell them that they need to go on and do it, and then I can?
To be honest, that's the best way, because they need to learn how to do it. Otherwise, they'll always rely on you. Nobody does it. And if you need any, I'm doing an actual one tomorrow night, actually, if anybody would like to come, how to access your pathway and how to progress and complete. And that's tomorrow night. I'm delivering that after Bradford meeting at about maybe 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and it's maybe half an hour. So if anybody would like to join me, I'm happy to show people as well as Bradford members how to do that. And it's quite simple. It's me just going back on the site and going into my pathway and going, this is how you do it.
Great.
So
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, and I'm the division end director. You can find me anywhere. Just ask. Everybody knows me, I think. But you're welcome to that. So yeah, encourage your members to do it, and if you need any advice on that, just get in touch, and there's people around the districts and the divisions that would help do pathways training. Any more questions? Yes, Elizabeth.
First of all, thanks very much for the training. I am my club's Pathways champion, and I'm a huge Pathways fan. I'm very, very comfortable with it. But because I'm not a Basecamp manager, I cannot go in to basically, because what I love to do is play with that data.
Yes.
It's really important to play with it. And as you said, to match what's actually in there with the other systems. But I can't, I have to depend on my Basecamp managers to do it. And they're less keen than I am on playing around with pathways. But what you did was really helpful just to be able to see that, because I haven't seen that from anyone else. But that's really good. So I may talk to them and get them to go and play with that data a lot more, because that's very, very useful to have.
You can pull so much from it, Elizabeth, can't you? I mean, you can get so much data. There's a lot more in that background if you really are tech freak and you want to go in, because you can download and do spreadsheets.
I know. I'd like to export all of that, but I can't, because I'm not.
I know.
A Basecamp manager.
And I think that's one of the sticky points if you're a champion for the club.
Absolutely.
And you have a look at it. And perhaps in the future, TMI will think, like we did initially, they closed it down. You had to do level 1 before you could level 2, level 3.
Oh, and I remember.
And we opened it all up, and people are like, wow. So you can start your 6-month project that you have to do at level 4, or your year project for like now. While you do 1, 2, and 3, you can be thinking, well, I can marry that with whatever else, which is absolutely amazing. So maybe in the future, TMI might think, well, these guys are the champions and they want to have a look at the data. Yeah,
I hope they do that, because I think that would really help.
I was frustrated with it because I wasn't on any club committee, and I'm like, I want to see what they're doing. I want to see what the clubs are doing. And
but it's the first year I'm not on the committee, because I'm on the DLT. Otherwise, I'm always on the committee, and at least I could, go in. But now I can't do any of that.
Can you not override it on the DLT, Liz?
Oh no, unfortunately not. No. But I think the point you made, I may write and tell them this, actually, because I do think if you're club's Pathways champion, I think you should have access to at least the data, because
Yeah.
that is important to analyze that data.
I saw someone else with their hand up. I think
Sheila,
moved. Sheila.
you're on mute, Sheila.
Sorry, I wrote it in chat there in the meantime, but I'll tell you what my question was. It's basically, is there any limit on the amount of time a club can store points for DCP?
I want to chip in on this one.
Oh, go on then, Daniel. I'll give my answer though. There isn't.
Yeah. If I store DCP points, you mean not claim the members award on Club Central, then
Yes.
that is unethical. You're holding the members' progression back.
But if you're trying to maximize getting your DCP every year.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. A lot of clubs do it, we know they do, but really, if your club is really successful and you're getting all these people through, then they should be registered through the DCP for the year they do it. And then the following year, you continue where you left off with your newer members coming in. Otherwise, you know, I suppose to some degree, it's a little bit of a false, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like you're holding back recognition for people when you want to have presidents distinguished all the time. And really for clubs to continually be at that level is great, but really it should be within that year that you're doing it. Yeah. Okay. So if you've got 10 people who've all completed and you're going to get 5 more points next year, you want to hold them back, and that's why we see clubs suddenly got presidents distinguished within 2 or 3 months of the new Toastmaster year starting, and you're like, really? Because you've held them back. But I agree with that. It's a bit, you shouldn't, not really.
I mean, a committee member delaying registering their own award, I think, is more ethical than a committee member holding back another member's awards and not recognising their achievements in real time. Because
there are other things they get, for example, the Triple Crowns and things like that. So if you do 3 awards, 3 pathways in a Toastmaster year, you get a Triple Crown award. So if you're denying that to a member, then yeah, it's a bit unfair. So, but anyway, that's each club, what they're doing, and that's the opinion from TMI and us, I think. So before I hand back to Daniel Banks, is it? Or Daniel? Daniel?
Well, I'll thank you now profoundly, Liz, for this training. It has inspired the people in this room. Elizabeth Jordan has picked up tips, and if she can pick up tips, then that's way to go. That's right out there. Elizabeth has pathways stamped through her like a stick of rock, so well done there. I hope you don't mind me teasing you, Elizabeth.
I don't at all. Not about pathways. I'm very happy to be teased about pathways.
I'll give it to Danny now to sing us out for the night.
Did you say sing or see?
Yeah.
I hope you said see us out, because you wouldn't want me to sing you out for sure. Well, again, I'd just like to thank Liz. There's an awful lot of information there, an awful lot of useful information. And if, as VPE, you know, one of your main roles is to sort out the base camp and be Basecamp manager, I think that's made it a whole lot easier. So I'd like to thank Liz very much for that. I've put in chat, hopefully I've put in chat an evaluation for tonight. I'd be very grateful if you could do that, please. As I said at the beginning, these are a series of training sessions to find out whether they work, whether people want them, how we can best deliver them, and your feedback would be very gratefully received. There's just a few simple questions. It should take more than a couple of minutes if you could do that for me. And once again, thank you very much. Next week, we've got John Fadzine, who's an experienced Toastmaster from Division N, where Liz is director, and he's going to be looking at the Club Central and the DCP points programs. So if you want to go on that, make sure you sign up for that. That's all I've got to say. Thank you very much for giving up your time tonight. If you do want to revisit anything which Liz has gone over tonight, it will be on the division's YouTube site tomorrow at some time. Okay. So
the district, Danny.
Sorry, district. I just said division for Liz. You know, I get my D's mixed up. So it'll be on the District 71 YouTube site tomorrow if you want to revisit any bits that you missed or you'd like to go over. But thank you very much for attending, and hopefully I will see you at future training. So good night and thank you.